In this episode, I'm going to show you how to become a cool diver and transition from newbie to stand out among your group. We will cover some tips applicable for both guys and girls, especially on the gear from cheap and easy to advanced. This video is especially for those of you who are going to the tropic and wish for some cool photos, so come and dive with me now. This episode is presented by Aqueous Flinder. Please subscribe and like my channel. Well, let's address the first and foremost question on how to stand out among the divers. And this is not about your skills. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by so many other people in the water, can hardly find yourself and stand out? Then you are not alone. When I started diving, I was unrecognizable. Although I have tried hard to make some nice videos and photos, but I have always been feeling I think I'm just average. Since I have always been relying on rentals back then, I sometimes felt like I'm a moving commercial advertisement board. But that doesn't mean you can't make good photos within them. Plus, needless to say, diving gear can be an expensive burden. Before I get into the gear, one simple thing that you can always try is to request a guide with a nice camera, not just a regular GoPro. So why does it matter? When a dive guide has something more than the GoPro, it means they are already driven to improve themselves in photography. Like these photos I show you here. However, if you truly want to stand out, we have to get into gears, and some of them are really easy and cheap. And let's start with some gender-neutral advice. Dive knives. Especially for guys, I would highly recommend to get a dive knife on your leg. Because it elevated your outfit almost immediately. It gives you this cool vibe, a bit like Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise, or simply just a cool guy underwater. Besides knives, I'd go for wetsuit because they don't have to be expensive. And it's a fashionable statement. The picture I show you here is not commissioned from random Chinese website. I think you get my point. It's unnecessary for a beginner to spend hundreds of dollars or euros to buy an expensive wetsuit. Just to be clear, it's not like good brand is overpriced. On the contrary, I quite like my proper wetsuit from like Scuba Pro and Classy. But it's not necessary for a new beginner or if you only dive in subtropic or even tropic water. So I got this set for like $20 to $30 and it wasn't even feeling cold. I thought it was pretty good looking. Of course, diving is not always about outfit. Here we're moving towards more expensive side. If you really like the sport and decide to be serious or even aspire to be a photographer, I would highly recommend you to get your own BCD. BCD stands for Buoyancy Control Device. Here's the BCD I own from Haoxiang. The BCDs I show you here are all donut styles, are different from jacket, and they look quite sleek in the water. They also come with different weight and color options. Not only from Haoxiang, you can also look for a cheaper brand like X-Deep, and they come in a modular design. You can even just buy the back plate and buy the bladder, which is a donut, with totally different design and colors. So having your own BCDs not only make yourself more comfortable in the water, but it can also give you styles. That's most important for you guys, I know. For me, since my style is genuinely black, I just got the standard version, which is also the cheapest. But the good thing is you can also change the color later on if you decide to have a fashion week under the water. There is another setup that's so small but I will never skip, is gloves. It not only make you look advanced and sophisticated in the water, looks like fish assassin, but it also protects your hand from all the scratches. And I chose those really tight ones so they don't look clumsy. And it also makes control of camera easy in the water. Plus, they also make my finger look slim. You are good to go now. Do not forget to smile and wave hi to the camera. Small thing, you could always take out your regulator when taking a photo. It makes you cool. The second chapter is for the crowd who are truly bored with single tank or simply just want to look cool. So we're going to talk about configurations. What I'm gonna say may surprise you, but you do not need to be good or have hundreds of dives to have 2 tanks with you. All you need is a simple open water certificate like from SSI or PADI, whatever you like. So what you're seeing here is called side mount, which literally means have two tanks on your sides. This is like super easy. All you need to do is to get your certificate and sign up a side mount course for recreational diver like from SSI or TSI or even PADI. So I'm showing you here two courses that I prefer from SSI and SDI and TDI, which one of them is more professional and help you to progress into tag diving. But either one of them would suffice because I personally do not prefer PADI's like course structure. The course was actually relatively easy. Therefore, you could straight away skip the single tank setup and directly get a side mount BCD. To be perfectly honest, I regretted on my BCD choice. Now, given the chances again, I would 100% to go for side mount BCD as my first option because it's not only cheaper, but looks really cool in all conditions. If you ever want to progress into diving like in a wreck or caves, side mount is so smooth. It helps you to get you everywhere smoothly. There are also other benefits, like it's much lighter to go into the water, as you can leave your tank in the shallow water and only hook it up while you go in. If you ever dive in a temperate region like North America and Europe or anywhere with a dry suit, it saves tons of weight of steel tank. It's like relieving elephant from your back during waiting time. After finish your side mount course, you could dive with side mount within your certification limit, either in 12 meters, 30 meters, 40 meters, or even more. So for the American audience, this is about 40 feet to 130 feet or even more. But I guess that's also one minor downside about side mount is that you normally would have to buy two tanks instead of one. However, I did occasionally see some people dive with just one tank on their side and the other side carries a heavy camera or just nothing. Anyhow, if you're confident, just go for it. With all being said, some of you might ask, well, what about twin set bike mount? It also looks cool. Plus, you don't have to get extra certification to get used to it. There's no gas management issue and affecting trim. Well, that being said, it is somewhat true. But my response would be, if you really want to look cool, side mount would be a better choice. Here I show you this picture of someone looks already really nice in a bike mount. So in my opinion, no matter you're a guy or girl, I would say it kinda looks clumsy for both occasions. So please don't be offended, it's just a personal view. I have had some photos of me on the board with twin set. I tried to find a good footage, but I really couldn't find it because I look clumsy and maybe because my frame is rather small. But don't give up, I still dive with twin tanks. Now let's get into the third stage, which I think is the coolest, is to be the free diver among the scuba divers. We're going to learn from turtles to be super flexible in the water and be very agile. I'm going to cut all the crops of introduction of freediving because we want to look cool and just that. So first and foremost is to not afraid of water and do not be afraid of diving without air. I know this is very contradictory to scuba diving and everything you have learned from scuba diving. And maybe freediving is not for you, and that's perfectly fine. But it does look really, really cool, especially when you're diving among the scuba divers. I have heard a story about technical freediver that could go in 50 meters, explore the wreck with minimal preparation, and that feels so good. Without any of those equipment, you could just go anywhere and get up anywhere, explore places. It's a really good free feeling without equipment. Speaking of equipment, you do need something like fins. So what I'm showing you here are the fins I own. I personally do travel with them because they're very modular. You can remove the blade from the foot pockets and you can easily fit them even in a backpack. Besides the convenience, long fins are not really necessary unless you do competition because short fins is more flexible and it's easier to navigate around the water. Additionally, it is slightly cheaper and easier to arrange. You could go with a snorkeling group and enjoy the coral reef and explore places without any equipment, without any preparation, very easy to clean stuff. Besides, you can still take good video footage about turtles or anything you see. In my general experience is that when you go deeper, you see less. Often I see the coolest stuff during snorkeling and freediving, like sharks, turtles, whale, etc., etc. Even in very shallow places, I discover a lot more than the marine life. Sometimes I do see like Roman ruins in a very shallow water. You could see this super protected, beautiful mosaic floor in Italy. And I love it dearly because, to be honest, it's really hard to dive at a 3, 4, 5 meter while you could just free dive and swim around. Okay, that's all of my recommendation for you today. Have a great dive. Ciao!